a progressive government must do away with all VAT that has to do with agricultural inputs, must do away with all import and export taxes for all agricultural inputs, anything that helps grow your economy. The reason why I'm against the World Bank and the IMF is because their policies, when we go back to the 70s when they were established, these Bretton Woods institutes, and we come into the 80s during the first structural adjustment policies, they took our countries back. Look at Singapore, where Singapore is. Singapore is far now because they decided to realign their own existing resources, open up a free port, and most importantly, Lee Kuan Yew, who is the father of Singapore, had one policy, which is cleaning the system, making sure that the system is clean. But our system today is dirty. Our system is corrupt. We tax people, and then those taxes are stolen by politicians, those who are in power. So the only way that this country called Kenya can be able to progress is when we now start depending on ourselves. You know, let us also milk those foreign countries by importing their products, which is their machineries, because we are still far. Let's import their machineries. If you are a student of history and you go back to the 40s, although Chinese or China as a country is a very old civilization, really the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in China dates back to the 40s. You know, if you look at Chairman Mao, what he did, there was a time when they would go around collecting any little metal they'll find, and they build their industries. Instead of taxing Kenyans, instead of taking big loans, we now need to move into a system where we do private-public partnership or public-private partnership. You want to build a superhighway for me? You want to give me your loans? Don't give me your loans. Come build it. You know, we are happy to pay for it. Charge us. Let us use it. You know, in 30 years, leave it. It goes back to the citizen. That is progressive leadership. You know, my priority as a leader is to ensure we create employment, number one. If we allow those public-private partnerships to come, it is our youth who will work in those roads. They're the ones who will get those jobs. That's number one. Number two, even if we allow these people to tax us by collecting the money that we use in superhighways, we'll also get something small from the taxation. Also the amount of hours that we use on the road getting stuck. You know, that time will now be reduced, and we will also be able to be more efficient. Number three, if we focus on developing our youth, our systems, where we work together, African countries must now come together. You know, I heard the president of Tanzania, Suluhu, saying in Tanzania they have done away with importation VAT. You know, in fact, the word he used is incentives. You know, I don't know the word in Swahili, but it meant incentives when I had creating incentives for development, focusing on agriculture. Look at Tanzania. They are now exporting rice. Their people have taken rice, they are now exporting to all over. For us, the only thing we're exporting is our coffee, our tea, building Starbucks, building Costa, building all these other companies. In fact, even when they go there, they blend it, they make different blends. Why can we not start realigning existing resources? Why can we not focus on agriculture? You know, what we are doing here, if the Ministry of Agriculture can be able to do, the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade can come together and build this network of development, we'll go very far. So my advice to this government, because we have been asked to advise it, politics aside, I think it's about time that you really sit down and think critically about building our own economy and not putting ourselves in the bondage of our colonization. You know, these shackles, the colonial chains, will still be tightened and tightened by the billions of dollars that we keep in borrowing. We borrow, and then guess what? Tomorrow you hear even a cabinet secretary saying, we have lost X amount of money. Why? How stupid can you be? So I want to urge you to focus on building the nation. You build a nation by making sure that you create enablers. If I want to be able to import machinery to build a dairy industry, don't charge me taxes. You're killing me. If I want to be able to import machineries to build roads, don't charge me taxes. You're killing the infrastructure. Today, this country would be better. But if you ask someone who has got an excavator, how much they'll charge you, they will tell you, I'll charge you 12,000 shillings. Why? They'll charge you 12,000 shillings because they have paid heavy taxation. Those taxes were not there before. So I want to end by saying, let us think together. Let us not continue depending on the West. One of my very big critics of the current occupier of the House in the Hill, State House, is that he's always flying out of the country saying, I'm going to create jobs. We don't want to be like Philippines, where you're exporting labor. No. You know, we make it possible. How now do you expect to make money? Yesterday I had one of the most stupid, decision by this government, that you are now going to start charging traders of alcohol 1 million shillings license. What sort of nonsense is that? Last week, the Cabinet Secretary of Treasury says they have collected less money on alcohol. People have stopped drinking because of the heavy taxation. The uncertainty of taxation in this country. Overnight you hear another tax. Overnight you hear another tax. You could have an equipment coming from abroad. By the time it lands, you are told there are 5 other taxes that have been introduced. What sort of nonsense is that? So you say you're going to tax 1 million shillings for people drinking. Remember, there are people who are very desperate. They will go and work in that pub for them to get a job. But now, because you're charging me 1 million, it is only going to be one person sitting down there selling. When do you think that person will make money? We now need to start thinking seriously. We need to grow a curve and to see, last year, how far did we make out of from this without charging taxes? This year, how much are we making? It's called the profit curve. Economics will tell you that. Go back into history in the 70s. You look at the economy, you see how the curve is doing. You've got different sectors where you collect taxes. See the ones that last year was down. But you know what we are very good at doing now? We are good at doing the following. Number one, if you look at county governments as an example, look at their revenue collection systems. Over time, you will find that the money is going up. I think when they realize that the reporting the money is going up, they decide we are going to re-advertise now to bring in another company because this company is showing all the revenue. So that we eliminate the traces of the previous one. Look at every county. There are those structured levies or taxes that are allowed by the county governments to charge. Those are clear. License, business license. There are those unstructured, which is sand money, all these other, matatu fares, matatu cess they charge. Those ones. That is where all these governors are stealing that money and putting in their pockets. I think it's about time that we all sit down and have a conversation about how we are going to build this country, develop this country, make this country a much better place so that when we are gone, the next generation that will come in and enjoy. Now, it is a time that we are learning that within a week, we have cut all this fodder, we're giving it to our cows. How many employees do you have here working with you every day? 3. Okay? And they are only in this section?
Yes.
Okay? What about the other section?
About 4.
Another 4. Because you want them to be able to do the research and development. We don't need to have big labs to do the research. We do the research practically. So that's it for today, but let's keep talking on a daily basis. Remember, despite our political differences, we have a country to build.